Just said admit Mike Dermont.
Okay, admit him.
I did.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Mikey.
I'm on location for just a little bit. I'm making my way back home, so bear with me.
Where are you at, brother?
I'm in the car driving home. We had to pick our my stepdaughter up from the airport. She just got home from the men's national championship for COD volleyball in New York, and the men won. They're the national champions from COD. Woohoo!
I like it.
Yeah. Cool
Go
stuff.
DuPage, baby.
Go DuPage. DuPage. In France, it's DuPage.
I am sitting in the middle of Denver International Airport, catching a flight back, and
Nice.
Mikey O has taken over as host, which is awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Yeah, we're pod in the cloud. So, pod in the cloud. Do you remember Pudding in a Cloud back in the 80s, right? Wasn't that Bill Cosby? They had the chocolate pudding inside the Cool Whip. That was Pudding in a Cloud.
Yeah, and that was good.
That was good. Good
I went to
right there, man.
I went to SIU. That wasn't the cloud.
SIU. Southern Illinois, huh? Saluki. Is that a Saluki? What the fuck is a Saluki?
It's a really nice motorcycle.
No, that's a Suzuki. It's a really nice motorcycle.
You caught me.
I picked
You
up
caught
on
me.
that. I got that. Do they even make Suzuki motorcycles anymore? No.
Absolutely. Not for
Do
me.
you?
I need a three-wheeler.
You need a You need a trike bike. So what fun things did you guys do? You're out in Colorado. What are you skiing, Pete?
That's the last thing you would find me doing. I'm like you guys. If I'm going to go somewhere because I got some family out there, so I had some last-minute family stuff I had to do, and with this podcast, it's 50% is better than 0%. So as long as we keep the thing going. What did I miss over the weekend, guys? You guys were busy.
I had a gig with the Black Diamond Sessions.
Now it's real easy to stand up here and tell you about how we all gotta come together. Without leading by example, let me show you. We got a lot of people up on this stage, and all together, we get together and jam. But it all starts with that drummer, and that's Rob Davis. Give it up for him, y'all. You want to add something else to it. You want to start building. That low end, the groove that you hear all through your body and feel as toddlers are on that bass. on that guitar. TK on that saxophone. Mitch Lip on that trumpet. Orfanos back there. Come on, let's make it real funky. So funky you can smell it.
Over at the Broken Oar.
Over by there.
Over there.
Over there.
Oh dear.
It was good. It was we had Kevin Purcell from Kevin Purcell and the Nightburners. He hopped up and played some harp with us. We had TK from Sneezy, who was off tour, so she sat in and played saxophone with us, and of course Mitch the Lip as well. So it was really good to have everybody.
He is the Lip, man. Mitch the Lip. He gets around.
It was funky.
So what did I do? I was in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We went out there Thursday. What day did we leave?
Last Saturday.
Last Saturday. We spent about 5 days out there doing hiking and, taking in all the touristy stuff that you do in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But I love it out there, man. It was great. We had such a good time. Such a good time.
Beautiful area.
Yeah.
Gatlinburg.
I would do a toss-up, a jump ball between Gatlinburg and Wisconsin Dells.
You know what? I always say I shouldn't say it this way, but yes, they're very similar. I would say that Gatlinburg is a little bit more than the Dells. It's almost.
If Nashville were the Wisconsin Dells, that's what it would be.
Yeah. It's quite the thing. But we the cool thing is spring break was pretty much over for most people. It was late by us. So down there wasn't a lot of people down there. And we had gone down there before during that time of year, and it gets freaking insane. I mean, trying to get into a restaurant's impossible. We were able to get in and out of places. Traffic was pretty mellow. Got in some great hiking. It was a good trip. Really enjoyed it.
Look at Rosie.
I know.
He needs to be spinning the sticks while he's on the show.
There's a lot of talk about cover band drummers this week, it seems, man. So I got to make sure that that you're doing your homework so you can be rated as one of the best cover banders in the Chicago market. So there's some stuff going on in the Chicago music scene. Pete, I don't know if you heard about it, but the band Arra has done a replacement on their drummer, and I don't know a lot of the politics behind it or the backstory, but it's rubbed some people the wrong way.
Wait, what happened? Seriously, I have no idea what you're talking about. Band politics?
So the band Arra had a drummer. His name's Mike Gallus, fantastic drummer. They've been playing with him for about, I guess, the last 10 years. They made an announcement last week that Mike is no longer going to be with the band, and our friend Wolfgang Paul is going to be taking over as drummer of the band Arra. It's created a little bit of tension out there in the cover band world. This happens, right? I mean, bands change members all the time. It's just I don't know the circumstances behind it, but it pissed off some people.
Well, I'll take a number.
Well, we're here to talk about Chicago music, so I figured it'd be appropriate to talk about it, right? I mean,
We should send Pete that link so he can listen to it.
Oh, that was something else. Yeah, we'll do that, Pete, and then you'll have to come on and do a recording later. Give us your professional opinion of it. It was pretty interesting, though.
So Kevin Purcell and his sound guy were at the show on Saturday at the Broken Oar. So Kevin Purcell and his sound guy have a podcast. They want to come on ours and they want us to go on theirs.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, they have a real interesting idea. They were talking about like commercials, like promoting theirs, and we promote theirs, and they promote ours.
Absolutely.
And they're really good guys. So just having that conversation with them on Saturday was really cool.
What's the name of their podcast?
Bus Stop Blues with Kevin Purcell
Cool.
and Road Bill. Road Bill is the sound guy. And they do it on Sundays. It's like 2 hours, but I thought it would be really cool to do that little cross. They've been doing it for about 3 or 4 months.
I assume they talk mostly about blues, right? I mean, that's kind of what
they talk about everything.
So Mojo is a local area musician. He's been on the scene, I think, since the 90s. I just met Mojo probably in the last 5 years. I met him when he was the lead singer of the band Hobo Junkies. And that was probably in 2018, 2019, maybe. And then Hobo Junkies, he left Hobo Junkies and was kind of sitting idle. And he then became a part of the core of Koteri, right? And now he is, and he could tell the whole story. I don't want to steal everything, but now he is the lead singer of the band Voyage. He just got that gig a few months ago. So looking forward to seeing Mojo back out in full force as lead singer of the band Voyage. Good guy.
Yeah, he said he's been doing it for 6 decades.
6 decades. Well, he is old. I mean, you wouldn't know it. I'm serious, man. When I think Michael's, I want to say 62, 60. Yeah, and you wouldn't know it by looking at the guy.
No, he looks a lot younger.
I wonder if he got pissed. Did he ever get kicked out of a band? We got to talk about that and see if he ever got kicked out and if he was pissed off about it. That's a good topic.
We'll ask him.
That's a good topic.
Yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bands with him.
So that's called a band whore. He gets bands around.
Hey, look at this. We got Mikey Mojo here.
Go!
Hey! Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Now look at this guy. Does he look like he's 62 years old? There's no way he's 62.
No, I'm not 62. I'm 63.
There you go. See, I told you. I'm a liar.
Hey, so Pete's on after all, huh?
What's going on, Mojo? How are you, brother?
Good.
I had to check out Mojo. I'm here in the bar waiting to go on a plane in like 2 seconds.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Tell us about yourself. I actually talked a little bit about you prior to getting on, just kind of, our history together. When did we meet, Mike? Was that like in 2018?
Well, actually, if you'll recall, sometime, I think even before that, I was at a Friction show with Joe Lynch, who's now with Bon Journey.
Bon Journey, yep.
And we met then, and I think that was probably sometime around, I want to say 2009, 2010, maybe a little later, maybe.
It's, for the time that we have known each other, where I really got to know you, it's been great. We've probably going on 6 or 7 years now of friendship, and I was talking a little bit about you. You were in the band Hobo Junkies. You left that band, and then you kind of sat idle for a while, and we kind of reunited when the whole Koteri core thing started getting some legs.
Actually, I joined another band right after the Hobo Junkies. But prior to that, a snapshot.
Why don't you do this, Mike? Take us through your history a little bit. Where did it all begin? Bongo Mike says you've been doing this for, 6 decades you've been playing? I don't think it's 6 decades, man. You're 6 decades old.
Oh, I mean, it spans a 6-decade period. I mean, started in 1976, I did my first show.
Well, talk to us about that, man. Tell us the history of Mojo. How did you get here?
I'll tell you what, I had a good friend in high school, and he played bass, and I was messing around with guitar. And we lived in Asia, believe it or not. Asia Minor. We lived in Turkey. Our dads were in the Air Force. So essentially, we were Air Force brats, and we were living overseas. We were in Ankara, Turkey, and we met up with Ankara, Turkey is the capital city of Turkey, and there were a lot of diplomats there. And we met the Venezuelan ambassador's son, the Venezuelan ambassador to Turkey, and his name was Juan Carlos Cole, and he played keyboards. And we threw together a band. It was called the Juan Carlos Cole Band. And we played a couple of times. So that's the.
What kind of music was that, man? Was that like Eastern Europe music? I mean, Mediterranean swing?
No, we played kind of like rock. You know, we made up our own tunes, but it was rock. I played guitar and Juan Carlos sang, and we actually had a horn section, and the trumpet player was named Charlie Parker, of all things.
I thought you were going to say Mitch the Lip because he plays with everybody else. I figured you might get Mitch the Lip over in Istanbul.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that? Now I know you bounced around a lot because, as you said, you're a military brat, right? Your father served in the military. Thank you for his service. Tell us about that, man. We'll get back to the music, but what countries did you live in?
Well, I was born here in St. Louis, but 4 months later, I was on a jet to Germany. So I spent the first 3.5 years of my life in Germany. My sister was actually born there. And my first memories are of Germany. From there, we went back stateside. My dad was stationed in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. My first grade field trip was to the White House. And didn't get to meet the president. We all sat there and waited. It was Lyndon Johnson at the time.
I thought you were going to say Abraham Lincoln.
Well, no, George Washington.
Good old Abe. He was in a play that day.
It was actually Pontius Pilate.
So Lyndon B. Johnson, man.
Yeah, and we were waiting, and he couldn't come. You know, the Vietnam War was wrapping up and stuff, and,
right.
And one of his aides came down and said, so outside of Dayton, and my dad was stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So I kicked around in a little band, kind of as a peripheral character, and the main guy of a band was a guy named Gary Johnson, who later became a shuttle pilot and space shuttle pilot.
So what year did you move to the Chicago area in?
1979.
So 79. Did you immediately get back into music when you were here? Is that kind of when the launch of the Mojo Chicago experience started in 79?
Yeah, I messed around a little bit with bands and such, and ended up in a band that we called Zurich, Zurek. We were driving past the Zurich insurance building, so we just kind of said, hey, that's a cool name, Zurich. We changed the spelling. You know, that was a band that we just really played parties and stuff like that, you know. Go ahead.
Let's stick on Zurich for a second. So what kind of music? Was that original? Was that covered tunes? Anybody that we would know today?
100% original music.
Okay.
And the guys you wouldn't know, the drummer's name is, I forget his first name, darn it. Dahlman was his first name. Really good drummer. Surprised I haven't run across him. He was really good. The bass player, I played guitar and sang. It was a 3-piece band. And the bass player was a guy named Mike Matt. He was a real good friend of mine. He's since moved on. I actually talked to him a few years back, and he was doing covers, like alternative covers out west somewhere, I think.
Okay. How long did that one last, Zurich? How long were they hitting the scene?
Like most of my bands, about 3 years.
3 years.
I was going to say that's not on the list.
You didn't make the list. No, Zurich.
Well, from Zurich, I met some guys. I was working at a place in Wooddale, and I met a guy named Brian Hartman. We called him Hollywood Hartman. And he was a guitar player, and I played guitar and sang. And he had a friend named Johnny Valley, played drums. And so we got together, and we're like, hey, man, this is cool. This is really cool. We were looking for a bass player, and my younger brother, Joey, joined us as the bass player, mostly because he was the only guy that had money, so he could afford beer. So.
Did you guys call him Jojo? You were Mojo, and he was Jojo? Jojo?
We called him Joey Bucks, B-U-X, that's a stage name, because he always had the bucks for beer. So that band was called Nathan Teal. I had a sales manager named Nathan Teal, and Teele. And so we called ourselves Nathan Teal. We kicked around for a while. We did shows at the Thirsty Whale and Stay Out West back in the day. I think Iron Rail, and that was a fun band. That was a mix. That was mostly original music, but we would occasionally do. I remember one time we did a Judas. We ran out of songs at the Thirsty Whale. We played everything we knew, and they're all going, one more song, one more song. So somebody started playing Judas Priest, Breaking the Law. We did it. The arrangement wasn't perfect, but we kicked it out. We finale'd with that. We're young guys in our 20s, most of us, and we had kids and families and jobs and stuff, and it was a great time in my life. Yeah, what happened? I kicked around in a couple of other things, in between a lot of this stuff, I was doing my own acoustic music, just going out and playing, wherever I could pick up a little, a little gig, Foil came along. That started in '96. That kind of took off. We had a good run in the '90s all the way through the early 2000s. In fact, speaking of Joe Lynch, who we talked about before, he was in that band.
He's in the band Bond Journey. They're actually a newer band. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But let's talk about Foil a little bit, because I do remember seeing their name around a lot. And this is kind of when I had moved back from California. So I'm thinking, when were they? Were they the late '90s, early 2000s? Foil?
Yeah, we started in '96, and we were out playing pretty much right after that. And we were doing alternative and grunge covers. And basically, whatever was coming on that week, new music on Q101, we'd learn it and go out and play it. We were doing shows like with bands like with Rubber, Drop, if you recall Drop, who was
I do.
Oh gosh, actually, those were the days when Gerald Guzman was in Core. Mark from Seventh Heaven was in, what was that, Wicked Garden. So was Mike Zaitz. But anyway, so interesting thing is that actually Chris Bobrowski from Rock Brigade actually had filled in a couple times with Foil. He actually bailed me out a couple of times. Yeah, so Foil, we did that for a long time. Nearly 10 years, actually. 96, I think the last show must have been in about 2004. So, yeah, 8 years.
Curbside Life was next?
Well, yeah. What happened was the members, the remaining members of Foil, because a few people had come in. Jim Morley, he was a producer and brilliant guitar player, piano player, but we asked him to play drums with us, the three of us from Foil. And we started Curbside Life. Curbside Life was it was an original band. We would do some covers like we would do like Seal covers or the Gin Blossoms, who we actually opened up at the old Clearwater Theater, which is now Rock House. And we had radio. We had some stuff on the radio. We were on 95.1 Will Rock. Yeah. We actually entered a contest with Tascam, the equipment company, and we won. We won some equipment, and such. And then George Martin, the guy behind the Beatles, he was associated with the GarageBand.com thing that was going on at the time. And 1 week we were the best alternative band, and such. So we had some stuff going on. We had music in an independent film. Very cool. And that film opened up. The premiere was down in, I want to say Lamont, maybe, or somewhere at an AMC theater. And so we got to all sit, bring our friends and family, and they filled up the theater, and we saw the movie, and our music was in it. It was really cool.
What was the movie?
It was called Perilous Ties. Yeah, Perilous Ties was an interesting time for us, because Perilous Ties, she approached us because she heard that we were up for a movie called Running with Scissors. We were sending music out to California to a guy who was directing this movie that was based on the author Augustine Burroughs' memoir. And Augustine Burroughs heard some of our music and approached us and said, "Hey, I want your song Lost." We had a song called Lost. "We want your song. I'd love to have it in this one scene." So we were exchanging back and forth, and we were getting really hyped up. Oh man, we might do this. Ryan Murphy is the director. He used to do the Nip Tuck series, and he's on a bunch of stuff. But he was fielding from various bands, this music for this movie. Well, we didn't end up getting it because he decided to just license 70s and 80s era rock music and not use current bands.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of disappointed in that. And that movie got made, by the way, with Gwyneth Paltrow, Alec Baldwin, Annette Bening. So it was kind of a cool thing, and there was a lot of excitement in that. So Curbside Life, yeah, we wrote some good music in that. And it was just a cool thing. There was all these things coming and falling into place for us, winning stuff and, getting in these independent films and stuff. The singer ended up going to Nashville, and God bless him, he got a shot.
Is he still out there doing it?
I don't, he does some stuff. I know he's from Oklahoma. He lives down there now and stuff.
And now I'm back in my office, so I don't have to focus on, my wife and I getting in a car accident. Mike, you've done a lot of stuff, man. You've done the originals. You started your first band overseas. You have seen a lot of change in the Chicago music scene, right? There's always this controversy, this debate, original music, cover music. You've done it all. I think each has its own, it has its own beauty, its own uniqueness to it. Tell us about your experience in that, man.
Yeah, back when I, was back in the band Nathan Teal, we were kind of a punk rock band in a sense. We had, it was an odd kind of thing, maybe a pre-alternative grunge. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. But that was back when, the hair bands were happening. Mark Odette had Odette, and I remember we'd run across, Paradox and those guys. All those guys were out playing Diamond Rex and all those. And so we were kind of the odd man out, but I did see it transition from that whole thing to the alternative thing. And that's where I had a good run as a guitar player,
right?
In the alternative, because I was not singing in foil. I was the guitar player.
Yeah, that whole scene just ran over everybody and everything.
What's that? The alternative scene, Chris?
Yeah, Pearl Jam, STP, all of that stuff. It just took over.
It really did, because that's, I go back to where I was in music, right? I got to relate it to, because I came into the scene much later, having lived in California and then moving back to Illinois. I moved back in 94, and I really didn't start getting back into the music until in 96, 97. But the stuff we were playing was all the old, like 70s, 80s rock. If you think about, like, I'm not going to say what bands are doing, but if you look at what Cover Dogs is doing and maybe what Jack Tripper is doing, that's the kind of music that myself, Tavo, and Tony Mock were playing. And I'm telling you, we couldn't, it was so hard to find gigs because like you said, the alternative, the flannel, that was just kicking the crap out of everything, man. If you didn't play that stuff, you weren't getting a show.
Point with rubber and all that, I was on that same circuit. So,
but it's funny now because you look at where we are today in the Chicago music scene when you look at cover bands and tribute bands, other than I want to say Chris Burbowski with a Super Unknown and his tribute to Pearl Jam, and now I think Empress is kind of doing the 90s stuff. Rumor has it throws some 90s in there, but other than that, there's not a lot of bands out there doing it. We've got this resurgence of 70s and 80s and kind of a blend therein, but there might be an opportunity there for that I'm going to call it grunge, which I really hate using that word because I don't think that maybe alternative for that genre of music. There's not a lot of bands playing that right now. It's like fashion, man. It's cyclical, right? It goes out, it comes in, it goes out, it comes in. It just keeps doing that. So you did the foil thing for a while. You got into Hobo at some point in time. You got into Hobo Junkies, and I don't know. Again, I don't know your career that well because we've been friends for less than 10 years. But is that when you started seeing, I'm going to call it the resurgence of the Mojo experience from foil, and then kind of getting into Hobo Junkies and kind of rebuilding, that I don't want to say legacy, but your presence in the scene. Is that kind of where that happened?
After foil, there was some time off. I had some time off.
Okay.
And but in between foil and Hobo Junkies, we did Curbside Life, and then I had the time off. I had a bunch of time off.
That's right.
And I decided, and I decided, I had gone through some things in my life. The original Super Rock tribute was with Dan Dillon, and on drums, Chuck Vavra. I don't know if you remember him.
Remember Chuck?
Yeah, and he was keys, and then Jim Morley, who I mentioned before, was on guitar. Rob Martinez, who is now with Blackberry Jam, was on, but some of the other members who were originally in there had gone on to be in the Gurus. We did that for a brief period of time, and then I kind of shelved everything for a while, and then in 2017, I decided I wanted to be in a band. But I realized that, Arra wasn't hiring. I wanted to, but I didn't want to do that stuff. I wanted to do the 70s and 80s stuff. So what I did was I put my feelers out, and I came across a band called the Hobo Junkies. And I talked on the phone with Eric. By the way, the Hobo Junkies are now big city nights, and they're kicking ass. I talked on the phone, and he's told me the set list, and I'm like, man, that's not quite what I want to do, or some of the heavy, they were doing some heavier stuff. But they convinced me to come and audition, and I got there and I'm like, holy shit, these guys are good. Okay, I'll join. And I did that for probably, 2017 until 2021. And that was a great experience though. Those guys were awesome. I mean, listen, these guys, I got in there and they're like, we practice every Sunday and Wednesday. And I'm like, 2 times a week. And they weren't kidding, man. They were in there.
Awesome. So Mojo, I got a funny story. I don't know if you remember this, but I was in an original band called What Is Moo, and we did I think we did 1 or 2 shows with you guys.
Yes,
with the Hobo Junkie. I didn't even know who you were. I just remember, seeing you guys. It was pretty cool.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. What kind of music did you guys play, Mike? What was Moo?
What is Moo?
Yeah, what is Moo?
It was Agent 126 and Jeff Fight and Lori Counts Laura Jansen, which is Pete's sister.
Yeah,
and it was primarily like prog metal, really. I mean, I talk about the odd guy out in that one. I mean, it was like, what the hell am I doing in here?
That's a great line. That's a lot of talent in that band, man. Those weren't slouchers. Everyone you listed, there was a fantastic musician.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, so we did that for I was there for I think it was like 2 years. But we cut an album and we played a couple of shows with Hobo Junkies. Wow. I think it had something to do with Bob Koza. I think maybe paired us together. I think
did you guys play? We played Home Bar one night.
Home Bar. Oh, I forgot about that place.
Yeah, and that who was there was Jimmy from Jimmy Sohns from.
Yes, yeah, he would come up and play from the Shadows of Night.
Let's hear about my baby. Little she come around about 5 feet above, from her head to the ground. Come out here, baby. It feels so good. Feel alright. Baby G. When I go G-O-A, guess what you do? Nope, we're not outside, I get it out. Ready? Are you ready? G-L-O-A, G-L-O-A. Okay. We've all known our Glorias through the years. Fortunately, I knew a couple of them. around here. Did about midnight. It feels so good. It feels alright. Come walking down my street. Why'd you spend a mile for your friend? Knock upon my door. Please take me to a road. And it'll feel alright. T-L-O-R-I-A. T-L-O-R-I-A. Gonna shout every place. I'll probably shout all my life. Yeah, 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 it's so good. Woo! Jimmy Sohns! Thank you. I want to thank Chick Norris. I raised this girl from a pup.
Yeah,
Yes.
Shadows of Night.
That is so
Yeah,
funny.
so every time we'd play a show, Jimmy Sean's would come up and we would do Gloria.
That'd be the one song.
One song, man. That's right. You remember that.
One night we were at the home bar with you guys, and I remember Koza said, "All right, get out there and play for 2 hours." And I'm like, 2 hours? And that's where I built up some steam because, man, we went out and found the Hobo Junkies played for 2 hours.
Yeah, I remember the show. Yeah.
So you left the Hobo Junkies. Now, what happened in that situation? Was that something you just decided you didn't want to do it anymore? Did the band disband? Because I don't think they got a new singer right away, right? I mean, there was a period they were just kind of on a hiatus.
Well, COVID came along for one thing.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we weren't getting together. I had always asked them to maybe start playing some Bon Jovi and stuff, and they really did not want to. Hobo Junkies are now doing big city nights, and they're Scorpions tribute band, and they are just kicking ass.
Yeah.
But if they called me right now and said, "Let's do some Hobo Junkies," I'd be in there. Those guys are awesome.
That's cool.
I miss those days. We, quite frankly, we had a lot of nights where we kicked back and drank a few beers and some fireballs, and after rehearsals and joke around, and it was a fun time, man. I loved being in the band with those guys. But what happened was COVID came along, and I was kind of getting restless because I wanted to do more like festival oriented stuff. And a band approached me, a band called Snapshot, who now the great Jimmy O'Connell sings.
Yeah.
That's right. Jimmy's singing with them.
Oh, and he's amazing. But those guys approached me, and I did about 9 months with them, and they do that stuff down along I-80 and that. Great
That's
guys,
cruise, man.
Don Hagler, one of the original guys, is just a great guy.
Great band. They're a really good band. I think one of the biggest challenges logistically, though, it's for us, it's so far south, right? I mean, you're talking Ottawa. I mean, right? That's down there.
Yeah.
And you've, since then you've done some stuff with the Coterie. You and I have done a couple little things outside of the Coterie, right? We have the core. We did a little project together called Struck Down, which is a tribute to the music of Y&T because that's just a personal favorite of mine. I think we've done 2 or 3 shows with that. 2, 3, something like that.
Yeah.
When are we practicing? When are we doing that again?
Well, the problem with that is it's an acquired taste, and I think it's an acquired talent. And that whole concept came from working with Tavo and Wolfgang Paul, because we've always just loved Y&T, the three of us. And unfortunately, Tavo hasn't been able to play the guitar for well over a year because of his neck surgery, which he's still recovering from. The poor guy. I mean, he can't even work. Talked to him today. He's going through therapy. Yeah, I know. He's going through therapy. But as soon as he can start playing again, Moj, we'll have to do another show, because I know Steve Mancini's itching to get out on the bass. Gerald Guzman, he's incredibly busy with Hobo Junkies, with
Hillbilly Rockstar.
Thank you.
Hillbilly Rockstar.
I kept going, hobo, hillbilly rock stars. It's just hard, to do a project like that, because you guys are in now Mojo, you're in Voyage. There's just a lot of moving pieces. And of course, the news that was announced last week, Wolfgang is now the drummer of the band Arra, which is creating its own little challenges and disgruntlement on Facebook, but with everybody being so busy, it's hard to do those projects. It's difficult, but that doesn't mean I don't want to do it again. In fact, I was listening to some Y&T this afternoon from this weekend. They did a show, and it still amazes me at 71 years old that Dave Meniketti can still sing and play the guitar as well as he does. So enough about that.
And he's a cancer survivor.
He is. That's right. He is a cancer survivor. So, but Mojo, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. And you have a new gig that I talked about, the band Voyage, which is a legendary band here in the Chicagoland area. These guys have been around for, I want to say, you've been 6 decades. They're probably 7 decades. They're right there with you. They've been a great band. In fact, I saw them last year when they opened up for Rick Springfield up at the Genesee Theater. Amazing band. Talk to us about that, man. Talk to us about Voyage.
Well, let me back up a little, because what had happened is after I left the Snapshot, I started Super Rock Tribute again.
Okay.
And speaking of Wolfgang Paul, he and Frank Oliveira and I were kind of the main people there. But we kept bringing in all these musicians. We still do. I got a show this month, playing my birthday, April 25th at Broken Oar. Shameless plug.
Nice. Plug away, man. Not shameless.
But I was booking this gig. I had some gigs booked. I didn't have a band to do them. And so I put the Super Rock Tribute thing together with Wolfie and Frank Oliveira. And the first show we did with Jose and Marty and Len from Rock Brigade, and Mike Oliveira on vocals with me. Oh my God, that's great. And so we went out and did Super Rock Tribute. We were supposed to do 2 shows. We're still doing it. We still got shows booked,
Right.
So it's so hard for me to get everybody together to do Super Rock Tribute, because, I've had so many great people come through there. I mean, I've been blessed to work with these amazing, amazing musicians, but they're all in these other great bands and stuff, The guys are in Rock Brigade. T.D. Clark's been in there. He's in Poison Crew. Art Nunez, by the way, has really stepped it up, and he's been helping me out on guitar the last number of years. And but with Wolfie leaving to go, he's in Arra. Frank Oliveira has Kreative Minds. It was getting tough, and I was to keep this thing together. We couldn't do many shows because these guys are all in these different bands. So skipping forward to Voyage, late last year I was seeing Jeff Anthony and Tommy Yerk do their acoustic thing out in I think it was Algonquin or Barrington somewhere, and Gordy, the drummer from Voyage, was there, and he goes, "Hey, we were thinking about calling you." I said, "Well, call me," and and so that's how I ended up joining Voyage. We did a couple of jams together, and they said, "Do you want to join?" I said, "Hell yeah!" And one of the reasons is obviously, their reputation precedes them. They opened up for a lot of people. They have festivals and that kind of thing they do. But the thing I like is it's us 5 guys. We rehearse every week right now, and it's going to be the same 5 guys doing the shows, and we can, we have the calendar, and it's been my priority. Voyage is now my priority.
Is it all just cover songs though? No originals?
It is all cover songs, but it's all the stuff I love and more. I'm learning new songs, learning some new Styx songs. We're even covering like Huey Lewis, Walking on a Thin Line. I love that kind
Great song. Huey's awesome, man. I love Huey.
Yeah, and expanding my ario repertoire, doing Riding the Storm Out, and Styx, a song I've always wanted to do. Too Much Time on My Hands. I've always wanted to do that one.
There's a lot of bands that are playing the same genre of music, right? You mentioned Styx, REO Speedwagon, great music. Not a knock on them. What makes Voyage different? If you're to give the elevator speech, because your fans, your consumers have a choice. They're going to go see these bands. What do you think makes Voyage different?
You know what it is? We're not going through the motions. We're very excited about doing it. We love this music. When we get into a rehearsal, and it could be as little as like working together and hitting a harmony the way we want. We're just like, yeah, you know, we're excited about it. We want to share this music, you know. And yes, I know there's a lot of bands out playing that, but you know, with this kind of music, when you go out and you're facing a crowd of festival goers, you know, that maybe they do, maybe they don't get out much to see bands or whatever, and they hear music they love and music they remember. It's a special experience. For me at least, it's just a special experience.
That's a great answer, Mike.
Celebrating that music.
Yeah, and that's what it really is, right? And that's a perfect answer, because I like to give you a hard time, as you know, whether it's here in a public forum or you know, in private. We throw jabs back and forth, but you answered the question the way I would answer. It's about the delivery, right? You can go through the motions. We can get up there and we can sing that song that everybody else sings, but when you do it and you do it with that emotion and you're having a good time and you look out at that crowd and they're singing every word with you, and you can just put the mic down and that song keeps going because everybody's, you know, they're into it, man. That's where the beauty is, and you hit it, man. That's what it's all about. Good stuff.
So yeah, and I really like the guys. Gordy Seward, who's the drummer, I actually know him from having tried out for them almost a decade ago or more, when I didn't get the job originally with Voyage. But I remember him as being a great guy. Al Hamilton and Tom Runge, who are in On the Rocks with Mike Krauser, and my old Hobo Junkie drummer, Jose Perez. Those two guys are just great. They're fun. And then a guy I hadn't really known, except he's in the band Hinge, and I didn't know him, but Mike Sage on guitar and keys, and man, he's just a really super guy. I just like the guys, you know, hanging out, you know. When I leave rehearsal with those guys, I feel, you know, exhilarated. I don't feel drained, you know.
Right. What's your go-to song, Mike, with this band? Not with every band you play with, but when you think of Voyage, you're looking at that set list, you're like, I can't wait to perform this song because this is the one, this is the story I want to tell. What is that?
Well, I'll tell you, for them, they love performing Riding the Storm Out. That's been you know, they've opened up for a lot of national acts, and they like to end with that, you know. So I'm excited about that one. You know, I don't know that I can name one in particular. I am really loving doing Too Much Time on My Hands by Styx, because it's such a fun song, you know.
Gotta count.
And you know what? That's not one that I hear a lot of bands covering, to be honest with you. I don't hear
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a
no,
really
and
good.
I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, I'll try it. But, you know, I work at it. And once you get into the rhythm of it, it's pretty fun to do, you know?
Yeah, Mojo, you get to say, I got dozens of friends and the fun never ends.
Yeah,
that is right. As long as I'm buying.
As long as you're buying.
Hey, by the way, we got to introduce, we got Mike Good and Mike Ostrenga. It just says Mike the bassist. So we basically got like 5 Mikes and 1 Chris.
Yay, there he is.
Look at that, man. Dude, I should be like working for a help desk for some company. How do I do this? Well, first of all, you get out of your seat and let me sit down and do it for you.
There you go. Yes.
Mike, how you doing, man?
All right, man. How are you? Good to see you.
We're doing well. We're just having some conversation here with Mojo about his I know we got quite a few people. Yeah, talking to Mojo about his 60 years of rock. He's international.
It's spanned 60 decades.
6 decades.
6 decades.
Well, it was the 70s, 80s, 90s,
That's
early
right.
2000s, teens, and now the 2020s.
That's awesome.
So Mojo, quick question here. What shows do you have coming up?
Our maiden flight together as the 5 new guys. But no, we're gonna do a show at Bannerman's on May 30th. That's our first one. But most notably, we're really going to start hitting it in July, because remember, they didn't have a singer until recently, until I joined. So they missed a lot of the bookings in that, but they're starting to fill in. We're going to do we're going to do Bourbonnais, Illinois, their festival on July 2nd, and we're going to be back here at Bartlett Fest on July 4th.
Nice.
And then then we're doing Glendale Heights, I think, towards the end of the month. And in between that, I do a Super Rock tribute show in Pingree Grove.
Is that the Pingree Grove Festival?
Yeah. I've been doing that now for like 4 years.
Okay.
So that's a fun one.
Why don't you? I see we got about 15 minutes left. Talk about the other project you got going on.
Oh yeah, we got a cool little thing. I mentioned before I like to do acoustic stuff and originals and that. And is Mike Ostrenga on here?
Oh yes.
What about Mike Good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the three of us have been writing music, and it's set up this way. Ostrenga on bass, Good. We're all Mikes, so I always say last names. Ostrenga on bass, Good on electric guitar, and me on acoustic guitar. We've been writing a few songs, and Dan Dillon from Rumor Has It lent a hand initially and let us use his place and helped us do some arranging in that. But he's pretty busy, so we reached out to another Mike Orfanos, who came over, and we're working with him now.
So wait a minute. So Orfanos, are you bongoing, or are you actually going to be sitting behind the kit? Because this is
yeah. It's our initial practice. I was on an electric cajon, so I drove out to Mojo's house, and we worked basically like 6 songs.
Nice.
And Mike Good is a monster on the guitar.
Oh,
yeah,
amazing,
fantastic. And of course, Mojo's ripping it on the acoustic, and Ostrenga's doing his bass stuff. And so it's playing the kit is I haven't done it in several years, and right now it's percussion, so we don't know what's the next step, Mojo.
We have a name. We're called the Earthshine Band.
I thought you were going to be something like 4 mics in the chord. No,
yes. Well, actually, is Chris Rhodes on here still?
Yes.
You know something? We're actually looking for. We have a percussionist. We have Mike Orfanos, but we do need a drummer.
Hey, yeah, let's talk. My middle name is Michael.
Is it? It is not. Get out of here.
You're hired. Seriously.
It really is.
That is hilarious.
Okay. Wow, you have all the qualifications. Chris, we've worked with you. All of us have worked with you before. We like you as a person. We love playing with you.
He's a fantastic drummer.
Yeah, man.
What would you think about coming out and playing with the Earthshine Band?
Sure. Well, I'm getting tired of bugging you about SRT, so.
Earthshine.
So, is that a yes? Is that a yes?
Look at that, man. We just brought these 5 mics.
Yeah,
wow, folks, you first podcast.
September 7th.
You guys need a manager? I'll manage. You can be the 6 mics, man. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
How about you come and sing some stuff with us?
Well, that's Mojo's thing, man. I never like to step on another man's rhubarb.
Man, you're welcome. What are you talking about? Wait a minute. Mike was out at a Super Rock tribute show last month.
I was, yeah. So, I got to tell you, it was as fun as it was. I when I got off stage was singing with you guys, because we did a Journey song, we did a few other ones. I go to Debbie, I go, man, am I out of shape vocally? And I'm thinking about this Friction reunion coming up. I'm like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it. I really got to start working on my vocal exercises.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Super Rock tribute, we played 3 hours straight.
I know.
But back to the Earthshine Band, and Chris Rhodes. You say you're coming out. We have a show scheduled for September 7th.
Okay.
Chris, it's at a place you played it. It's in Waukegan, right on the rock.
Greentown. The Greentown.
Greentown. Yep.
Yeah, that's a cool place to play.
Yeah, we played there before.
That's pretty awesome. We got once you guys get this together, we got to get you with Mike Hansen, right? And to throw another mic and you guys should do a show with Kreative Minds, man. You'd have your original acoustic and then what they're doing with acoustic. That would be a good double header right there.
Plus they have 2 mics in that band.
That's right.
Another Mike O.
I say this every time. Everybody is named Mike.
Yeah. Well, our parents weren't that original, man. You know, they're just kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we actually
At rehearsal, and you go, Mike, and like 8 people turn around.
Always.
The Earthshine band actually did perform recently. We did 3 covers at the event that was held at Broken Oar for Gordy.
For Gordy, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So we were thinking of performing some of our original stuff, but we said, you know what? Let's just go honor Gordy. So we learned up a few covers and did that. It was really nice.
So Earthshine is going. It's going to be all original, right? Maybe some select, hidden gems from a cover perspective, but you guys are an original band.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna fill it in with '70s era covers. We all love the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, good stuff.
Pure Prairie League. We're talking about Warren Zevon now and stuff like that. We're gonna have some fun. But yeah, we're gonna. So Mike gets some original music cooking that we're anxious to get into as well.
Mikey O, what are you doing? Now I know you're doing the Earthshine band. You were an Empress. You're not an Empress anymore.
I retired.
What do you got going on, man?
I still play with the blues guys, Chicago Slim.
Yeah.
Doing Buddy Guys, House of Blues, maybe a half dozen times a year. And Blue Bayou.
That's right, Blue Bayou.
Yeah, okay. That's a fantastic project. It's come out and check it out. It's
and that's the music of Linda Ronstadt, correct?
Linda Ronstadt, all Linda Ronstadt music, and
what's the date on that gig?
Yeah, you got a show coming up, don't you, Mike?
Right, Geneva Stage, the end of the month.
Saturday. What's Geneva Stage? Is that a new place? Geneva Stage?
Lake Geneva.
Oh, Lake Geneva. Okay.
Like the Arcata converted movie theater. So far it's been pretty big with tribute bands and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the people we know have played their last season was their first season. Great place. We're playing in Lockport. We have a show at Sundance. So that's
awesome, man. And now who's in that band? Who's in that band with you?
Robert Jess, Tamara, of course, Jody Fields, and we got 2 guys from Heartache Tonight, the Eagles tribute band, Bean singing drum, and Tommy O'Brien on guitar. Just so it features harmonies, vocal harmonies. Yeah. That's the really. So for me, I mean, it's everyone's seen me play. I kind of improv a lot. With this project, I really got to be disciplined more than I have. So it's really that's Earthshine's fun because we get to go out on a limb and jam.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And when we started rattling off those names of Blue Bayou, I just smiled because definitely have some vocals in there, right?
Oh man, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this, but Jody Fields and I grew up together. I've known Jody since 7th grade.
I did know that. What a voice she has.
She's got a beautiful voice. She was always like in the madrigals, the choir thing, in school. She was always part of that. And it's great to see her out there and demonstrating her vocal abilities because, she's got a beautiful voice.
And she on a coterie.
She did, yeah. She performed on a coterie event. She didn't do any leads. I wanted her to. She did a lot of harmonies, and you know what? That's as important as anything else because that really fills out the music, right? If you don't have those strong harmonies for a lot of the music that we're doing, right, whether we're writing or covering, a lot of the stuff that this group here performs is so heavy on strong backups.
Absolutely. So, by the way, I mean, you get a chance to do that.
I'd love to. Absolutely. I love Linda Ronstadt, man. She's fantastic. What do you say, Mojo?
Speaking of the coterie, we barely touched on that. That's been a great thing. Mike, you had I was at, I think the final Friction show or something back in 2018 or maybe 2019. I think it was 2018.
Yeah, 1918 or 19, something like that. Yeah.
And you said, the place was packed. And you said, "Come on up and sing something." And I did. I think it was Rebel Yell or something. And after that, you said, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Come on, let's get together." And I was like, "Sure." And we've been doing the coterie for probably 6 years now.
5 or 6 years. Yeah. You know, it's funny because my mom is working on some project with a coterie, and I don't know what it is. She hasn't told me, but I was going back and looking at all the shows that we've done, and I think we've done 12 events. Now, the first 2 were technically not coterie events, right? The first one was the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s show that we did at the Broken Oar when we came up with the idea, let's just do this jam thing. And then we did Women of Rock. No, yes, we did. No, we didn't do Women of Rock. We did. What's that?
Purple and Black? Wasn't it Purple and Black?
No, I think it was it was the Bay Area show. So we did, the first one was 70s, 80s, 90s. Then we did the Bay Area show, which was it was for my sister because she was coming in from California. I love the Bay Area music. Her ex-husband, Kevin, was from the Bay Area. So we did that for her birthday at the Sundance. It was a coterie type event. But then after that is when we went into the full launch of, we should be doing this for charity. So the actual first show that we did for charity, I believe, was the Women of Rock. And we did that for Parkinson's disease because we had Dave Mikulskis in the house. And that's where we really kind of launched the whole idea of performing events for charity. So good stuff, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up.
You know, coterie's been so awesome for me, and I'll tell you why. Somebody mentioned the Purple and Black show we did. Deep Purple Black. I got to play lead guitar on Smoke on the Water. I know that's not the greatest. It was so awesome. I got to do a weird, strange '80s song by Kaja Gugu, Too Shy to Step Out of My.
Oh, that was a lot of fun, Mojo.
We did the Southern rock thing, and Mike Good and Mike Ostrenga and I and a bunch of people performed an Allman Brothers song.
Jessica. Yeah.
And I really like that show.
Kind of where the Earthshine thing started forming.
Well, and that's what this is all about. I mean, you know, the coterie kind of started off as something, it morphed into something. Now it's kind of taken on this other life. And I look at you guys, it's a great example. Earthshine was kind of born from that experience, right? Where you guys got up there and do the Allman Brothers song. You're like, hey, you know, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But I think, you know, there was some of that there, right? The seed might have been planted. And, you know, the whole idea is to bring people together through music, right? And it's not about creating dissension. We have enough of that in everything else we do, but if we can use this forum of music and our passion, and, you know I'm the kumbaya guy. I try to find the positivity in everything because, you know what, there's enough negative bullshit going around out there that I don't need to feed into it. I just love the fact that we're able to get on this thing here together and talk as musicians, share our stories.
We have 10 seconds left.
Cut us off. All right, so we have 10 seconds.
Go to mojomusic.com. You'll see all my shows there because it's so convoluted.
Mojomusic.com.
Thanks, guys.
Adios,
Chris, Mike, and Mike.
That's Chris Mike. Chris Mike.
Chris Mike, and Mike.
I think it officially went off.
Well, so are we not recording anymore? Or what?
I don't know. The timer went out and I couldn't figure out how to put more time on.
We should at least wrap this up the right way and just say, Mojo, thank you for your time. If people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to do it, Mike?
Mojomusic.com. You can reach me at mojo@mojomusic.com.
Mojomusic.com. Fantastic.
Mojo@mojomusic.com.
Mojo@mojomusic.com.
We'll make sure we put the link in there for that.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, because people always ask me, you know, they say, well, where are you playing and who you're with? And I'm like, well, I'm with Coterie, Earthshine, SRT, Voyage. So it's all there. The whole schedule's there.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, brother. It's been great chatting with you. And guys, thanks for joining us. Mike Good, Mike Ostrenga, Chris Mike Rhodesy, Mike Bongo Mike, Orfanos. You guys have a blessed evening, all right?
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Sorry about the timing thing.
Don't worry about it.
Take care, guys.
Take care of each other, too, man.
We barely scratched the surface. Have Earthshine on sometime.
We'll have it out. We'll do it again.
Peace.
We'll see y'all soon. Bye.